now they don't talk anymore because the friend is like, no, that wasn't right. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a second, where this person might be like, wait, hold on. Now you're making me question everything because did I not do it? And also having the influence of a whole church going against it too, which again is not okay or right.
Yeah.
Or even that's like if it's your job or anything, like, well, you know, you better vote for this person or you're not gonna have a job. Like, it just is insane to me. Like, guys, calm down.
Well, and at the end of the day, it almost sounded like this individual ended up making a decision for who she voted for based on what the church said. Welcome back to Dear Dilemma. On this episode, we have a submission. And just as a disclaimer, this submission was about the election. So we did edit the anonymous submission that we received. We typically do not ever edit any writer's submission. However, there was a lot of details given in this particular submission. And we felt like all of it wasn't relevant to like the topic at hand.
The true question.
Yes.
That was at hand.
So we sort of condensed it, we summarized it, and
wanted to focus and direct it back to the true question at hand.
Yes. So we did condense it just as a disclaimer, and we summarized it a little bit so that it was more concise. So we don't want to offend the writer by any means. We just wanted to make this a little bit easier to understand. Yeah. So, Brooke, if you don't mind sharing the submission.
Okay. I have a dilemma that I'd really like to hear your input on. I had a really great friend. We were very close. Right after the election, she shut me out due to voting opposite parties. We had talked about who we were going to vote for before the election. We are both Christians, but attend different churches. My church had a big influence on who I chose as they pushed a particular party on who to vote for. How can I make her my friend again, but still stay in the church? I feel a lot different now, and I'm questioning everything. I mean, I too would question everything, and I would question, I think for me, being active in the church and a Christian myself, I can kind of start there. I would feel very uncomfortable or question, why are we doing this? Personally, on my experience, during the whole November election timeframe, we did do a series, and it was kind of like politics versus spiritual in a way, but our pastor in the church never tried to sway who we should vote for. We never really talked about directly who the parties were. Although the series was focused on that, he always made sure that the focus and the point of everything was on God. It was never like...
So they never pushed an agenda or a certain party on you guys?
No. So for me, I could see how they would be questioning their church. It also kind of makes you question, is this how we're supposed to be as a Christian? Which is not how you're supposed to be. I personally, for me, if my church did that and they were really pushing one party versus the other, and they're like, you better vote for this, like this is who you have to vote for, I would not probably return. That's just me. I would, the intuitions would start
It gives
arising.
me kind of like weird vibes a little bit because, and not to say that you can't love your church, you can't love the people in your church that are mentors that maybe are trying to guide you to make a certain decision.
Disciples.
And people that they feel like there is a certain candidate that aligns with Christian values more. I get it. Okay, I understand that you might sway somebody to go more towards one way versus the other. But I don't think it's fair to push that on anybody. Because even if you're a church member, at the end of the day, the decision is yours and only yours.
But the focus should be on not worrying about who should be in charge of the country, which is a worry. But your focus should be on God and how, no matter, take your fears and worries away, he's going to make sure that, everything's going to be okay. My pastor told me that this past weekend because I was so fearful of the neurovirus, which I still am. And he's like, bro, don't have any fears. It's going to be okay. And I'm
Ultimately, God is the one at the end of the day that's going to guide us. And it has been a really tense, stressful time for a lot of people. I think there were a lot of people that were disappointed, and there was a lot of misinformation out there, and there was a lot of things that went into both candidates, especially like, you know, with the one candidate being under such scrutiny for the things that legally they were dealing with. The other one, you know, both parties had a lot going against them, I think. So it is hard. And I think no matter what election it's been, I think there are a lot of people that if you don't feel well enough informed, you're going to doubt your decision regardless.
Yeah.
Or you kind of think like somebody else tells you something that maybe you hadn't heard before you voted, and then you're like, oh my gosh, was that really true? Like, should I have thought of that a different way? Should I have voted for the other person? Like, I think if you don't fully grasp all of politics, which I don't think a lot of people do, because I don't.
I will say it right now. I don't vote because I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I think that they're going to pick who they want to pick no matter what. That is just me. That is my personal thing.
And that's fine too. I mean, I think, you know, obviously it's a right that we can exercise as women, which is great. I'm glad that there were women that fought for our right to vote. But I also think that if you don't feel like you can make an educated vote, or you don't feel like it's the right thing for you personally, then it's okay. And if you vote for a certain person, that's okay too. Like, and
your church shouldn't be telling you who to vote for. I don't think that is right at all. Personally, I don't think that's right. I mean, I feel like this election was so intense out of any election there has been since I've been alive or of age to, I guess, experience this and vote. Yeah. And I was getting told all the time from family and like friends or whoever, and they're like, you better vote. Or like if you're out in public at the grocery and it would be brought up and like, well, you better vote and you better vote for this person. I'm like, first off, chill. Like, I am too lazy to go get registered to vote. No, thank you. No, thank you. And then I have friends who, if I were to vote, there was a person, maybe opposite of who I probably would have voted for, but I'm not like going to down them and be like, oh, no, you should definitely not vote for them because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's your opinion. That's great. You have your reasons. You know, like, that's fine because that's what's voting for, is to make your own decision.
Right. It's a democracy. You're entitled to be able to make the decision for yourself, which, you know, is... That's the beauty of our country, right? Like, we can do that. I, on the flip side, think that voting is really important. But
sorry, Hannah.
No, that's okay. But that's where, like, you know, us as friends, like, we can have differing opinions, and I think we can both respect that. And I think that's what true friends really should do, is like, I don't look down on you for not voting, or if you voted for a different party, I'd be like, well, you know, what was that reasoning? Like, maybe help me understand why.
I think too many people are quick to jump down each other's throats of being opposite parties to, and that could be where this person's friend, that disagreement came in of now they don't talk anymore because the friend is like, no, that wasn't right. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a second, where this person might be like, wait, hold on. Now you're making me question everything because did I not do it? And also having the influence of a whole church going against it too, which again, is not okay or right.
Yeah.
Or even that's like if it's your job or anything, like, well, you know, you better vote for this person or you're not going to have a job. Like, it just is insane to me. Like, guys, calm down.
Well, and at the end of the day, it almost sounded like this individual ended up making a decision for who she voted for based on what the church said. So you're going to feel unsettled about that when you're not making the decision for yourself. You're literally going to the polls and you're just voting for like who you were told to vote for.
And that could be due to you're not even doing your own research on your party, of like if you're being told to vote and you're like, well, okay, I'll vote for them because the church told me to, and then the church is supposed to be right. That's not always the case. Obviously, we know that the whole religious aspect of everywhere can be very tricky and it can be very hard, and there's a lot of negativity that can come out of it. And I feel like this is one of those. So I will say for your church part, I would be questioning it a little bit personally, and I would maybe take a step back and I'm not saying to leave it, but maybe just take a break and really think about that. Maybe try somewhere else. Maybe try to reconnect with your friend and be like, hey, maybe you were right about this. I am questioning this. Can I come to your church and see what that's about? So
just
what I do.
reevaluate, like, was that the right thing for them to lead you to a certain thing if you don't feel good about it? And maybe, you know, that can open the door to that conversation with your friend. Like, hey, I'm actually questioning a lot. Like, I was pushed towards this one candidate because my church told me to vote for them, and now I see this divide between us, and I know the timing of it was around the election. I'm really concerned. You know, I don't want to lose our friendship. I don't think that we should lose it over this specifically, because now I'm kind of seeing things in a different light. Like, maybe I made a mistake. Like, maybe this isn't what I actually agree with. You know, it's opened my eyes. I want to have a conversation with you. Can you tell me, like, is this why we're having kind of a rift, or is this why we've been disconnected?
And I think not just the person who wrote this in, this I feel like has been the election that has torn a ton of friendships apart, family members apart, where I think this could be the time it's passed, even though said person who won is getting ready to make their way into office. But I think it's a good time to maybe rekindle or reconnect, unless it has been like super, super nasty, which we have talked about in previous episodes of like holidays and going in and your family being like, protect your peace as well.
Yeah.
But like the person's writing in, they want to rekindle their friendship. So I think this is a good time where you could take a break from your church, reach out to that person, like Hannah said, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like I would be the type of person that would go to my pastor or preacher and say, why are you doing this? Like, I would question them. Why are you pushing this on us? Like, this is not how this is supposed to be. If you've read the Bible, that's not, you know, like, this is weird. That's me, though. I just am a little bit more.
Well, you also want answers. Like, you're not afraid to just go and get your answers that you want. If this person's more shy, reserved, maybe they don't feel comfortable doing that. Brooke and I also kind of waited a little bit on purpose to actually talk about this submission, because we're actually hoping that enough time has passed a little bit from the initial shock and emotion of the election that, you know, you're able to, hopefully the writer was able to kind of take a step back and also give that friendship time. And then now, like Brooke said, is a great, I think, time frame to actually now address it, talk about it, resolve the issue. Well, as
you said too, as well, like, hey, maybe I wasn't right, and now that it's done, I'm kind of seeing that I was influenced a ton, and we should go get coffee, or we should go get dinner and just talk it out, or like, let's just have this conversation, because sometimes politics is not worth losing friendships over. I mean, they're only going to be in there for 4 years, so.
Right. And that friend,
your friendship should be worth more than a person that you don't even know.
And I think that friend was probably really emotional and might have just wrote her off immediately.
It's one of the most intense elections of our lifetime so far.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that your friend can't be blamed for that. I think a lot of people were feeling really emotional. You know, I think I woke up to a lot of posts on Facebook like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. I can't go to work today. Like, long story short is that we want you to feel comfortable. Hopefully you can reach out to that friend now that some time has passed and try to rekindle that friendship, initiate that conversation, and be able to maybe work through some things and just kind of tell her like, hey, you know, I'm questioning a lot now, and I want to see your perspective, and let's get coffee.
It's never too late to reach out and try to rekindle or mend that friendship.
Yeah, and hopefully that friend is receptive to it. If they're not, you know, sometimes we have to cut our losses. Even if we don't understand why, or maybe when there's more time that has passed, maybe they'll be ready to talk. But you can at least make that first step in the right direction and try to rekindle that, and at least start with conversation and go from there.
And then for the church part, just maybe take a step back. Maybe just kind of stop attending for a while. Or if you feel comfortable enough to talk to your pastor about that, or maybe other church people, and see what their thoughts are and how they kind of felt now that it's kind of went away. And again, maybe reach out to your friend and after you guys have that conversation and say, hey, can I come to your church to kind of see what it's like?
And we're not saying you have to leave your church. If you love your church, we get it. We just want you to maybe take a step back and reevaluate. Because you're
questioning that part too. So definitely take a step back from that and reevaluate, because it just, it would make me feel uncomfortable as well.
And you want peace in your life. 2025 is a year for peace. So we want you to have that inner peace, that outer peace, and just be able to feel comfortable and confident with wherever you're going.
And we hope this helped with the advice on that. And we hope that you do rekindle your friendship and obviously, find a solution for your religious in ways, or I guess your church and all of that and what you're going to continue to do. So, yeah. Well, stay tuned for our next episode where we will discuss another dilemma.
And like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify.
At Dear Dilemma Official.